Hunter Biden headed to a federal courthouse in Delaware today to finalize what many are calling a sweetheart deal. Now, as part of it, he will likely be able to avoid prison time and face probation and fines instead.
A new Wall Street Journal op-ed says you would go to prison for what Hunter did. Quote, in reaching his plea deal, the Justice Department violated every norm in the tax enforcement book. Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor and columnist for The Messenger, and he joins us now. Joe, opening line of this op-ed talks about a New Jersey car repair shop owner who just got hit with a year-and-a-day prison sentence for committing similar tax crimes to Hunter. Except in Hunter's case, the statute of limitations for some years where he didn't pay his taxes were allowed to expire. And he also tried to write off sex club memberships as business expenses. So the Wall Street Journal is calling this out.
As they should. You know, it shouldn't be the old saying, rules for thee, not for D's, as in Democrats, or not for Hunter. And we see it obviously with the legal proceedings that went on with him recently, where he buys a gun and lies on that form, which is something that he should have been charged with far more seriously than he is being charged with. Now, the good news is, if you are in pursuit of truth and justice, is that we have a GOP-led House. The investigations continue. The media can try to ignore it. But when Devin Archer comes forward on Monday, as he's expected to, and testify before Congress, this is something that, if we're to believe what he's going to say is true, it could be major problems, not just for Hunter Biden, but for Joe Biden, who we now have whistleblower testimony saying profited to the tune of millions of dollars as far as Hunter's overseas business dealings that were, to be very generous, shady, Todd.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. We are saying expected to approve this plea deal. However, the judge has every right to not accept this plea deal. That's what we'll be watching for today at 10. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. Meantime, a big RFK Jr. town hall with Sean Hannity last night. They went into so many issues. Of course, Kennedy's running against Joe Biden. Joe Biden's currently in the White House making decisions, many of which RFK Jr. does not agree with. Listen.
The decisions that are coming out of the White House are bad decisions. Right. And, you know, the Democratic Party does not censor people, in my experience. We're not the party of war. We're not the party of the neocons dictating foreign policy. We're the party of the middle class, and we're the party of working people. And that's not where the party is anymore.
Joe, that answer is fascinating because, one, he points out the truth that the Democratic Party is not the party of the working people anymore. But two, can you think of any other Democrat who disagrees with what Joe Biden is doing publicly?
All good questions. Look, Todd, RFK Jr. is a challenger to Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination. He says things that don't conform to the party line on war specifically and on vaccines. And you could agree or disagree with this perspective, but more speech, not less speech. Censorship is not the answer. And that's what Democrats and many in the media want, for Kennedy to shut up and go away. He's not going away. And Joe Biden, just like Donald Trump, should be on a debate stage defending his record, talking about what he wants to do from 2024 to 2028 as far as where this country is going. Instead, the DNC has already said, nope, there's not going to be a debate. We're not going to have Joe Biden go out there and debate an RFK Jr. who's polling as high as 20% because we say so. And that's not the country that we live in, or it shouldn't be the country that we live in as far as that's concerned,
When I was
Carly.
watching the town hall, Joe, I was just thinking it must be so weird for him to be a member of the most famous Democrat political family in the country, running on a Democratic ticket for president, and to be getting uproarious applause from a Hannity town hall audience. And it is because on these key issues that he talks a lot about, whether it's COVID concerns or censorship or fairness within these bureaucratic establishments in Washington, D.C., he interestingly aligns with Republicans. We got 20 seconds left. I'll give the rest of the time of the show to you.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that, Carly. I really appreciate that. It's been a great summer so far. I'll be off to San Diego next week for my daughter's soccer tournament because 9-year-olds have to travel 3,000 miles to play teams they get to compete against, apparently. So that's the latest with me. Now I'll go back to you because Fox and Friends First starts just about now.
And RFK Jr. will be addressing girls soccer coming up.
Yes,
Fox and Friends
Fox and Friends starts now. See you, Joe.